This is the Spinning Lofts sampler pack of CVM, or Romaldale. And I'm going to wash it up lock by lock. I'm going to use a bar of Ology soap and 2 bowls of hot water. And I am going to rub each lock on the bar of soap in the Margaret Stove manner. And then I'm going to let it dry on a towel. I'm going to wet it, rub it on this wet soap, and then I'm going to rinse it, and then I'm going to let it dry on the towel. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to find a fairly solid block of CVM. Get a lot of CVM here. I'm going to take, let's look at the lock structure of this. It does have lock structure like that. It is a pretty locky wool. It definitely has obvious staples. This looks like it may be either dirty or tippy. There. Either dirty or tippy at the ends. This is the tip end. This is the cut end. You could see it's straight across there. I have my bar of Ology. I'm going to do that so that the light isn't in everybody's face. I'm going to do this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bar, and I'm actually going to dip the bar so it's slippery. I'm going to take one end, I'm going to dip it. I'm going to dip it in the water, and the water is definitely getting, you can see that the water is grody. I'm going to dip the other end in the water. I'm just going to wiggle it around a little bit to get some of the initial dirt out. It's hot water. I'm not agitating, I'm going to wave it back and forth in the wool. And now I'm going to take one end, I'm going to literally rub it on the soap so that it's really good and soaked all the way through. And the soap is nasty. So it's really soapy. It's really soapy. Rub, 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 rub. Rub, rub, rub. I actually did this procedure in class with merino wool, in class with Margaret Stove. Now see, this is really, really, really soapy. I could do almost anything with this and it's not going to come apart. It's not going to hurt the wool at this point. The wool is really soaked up. I did both sides. Both sides look like they're super soaked. Okay, I'm going to rinse the wool now. I'm going to take it, I'm going to dip it in the clean bowl. I'm just dipping it in. Dip, 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 dip. And then I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to dip the other end. Dip, 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 dip. I'm waving it around to get the soap out. Dip, 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 dip. I'm dipping my fingers too, just so that my fingers get a little less soaked. There's less soap left in the wool. Okay. Now I'm going to take this lock, which is now de-soaped. I'm going to lay it on my towel. Now this feels like it's still got some soap in it, actually. I'm going to rinse it a little bit more. Yeah, squeaky. My dog is squeaking in the background. Okay, that's better. A lot less soap now. Okay, I'm gonna lay that staple out on my towel. No, Bodhi, I'm not letting you out. And I'm gonna pick up another. And I'm actually gonna put the soap down in the bowl. Not something I should probably be doing, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to pull off another staple. Here it is, another staple of wool. I'm going to give it a twist in the middle so that nothing is going anywhere. And now I'm going to dip, 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 dip. Dip. So that it gets wet. And I'm going to wash. kind of wish that this soap didn't have the Ology marker on it anymore, that it was flat on one end. It would make my life a little bit easier, but it does. Okay, I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to dip, 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 dip. This end came out, you could see the yellow goop coming out of it in the hot water. And rub, 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 rub. Rub, 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 rub. Really soapy. Now, you're going to ask me why it doesn't felt the wool when I do this. The answer is that the soap keeps things sliding nicely. I got it stuck in my fingernail. The soap keeps things sliding nicely. And now, because I didn't like what happened when I put the soap in the bowl of water, it became a little too slimy for my taste. I'm going to rinse my hands off a little bit. I'm going to keep the twist in the wool. Rinse my hand off a little bit more in the dirty bowl, just so you know. I'm rinsing in the dirty bowl to get most of the soap off. Now I'm going to take it with the twist in the middle, and I'm going to rinse this. And there's certainly a lot of soap coming off in this bowl. And unfortunately, one of the hallmarks of this particular method is that you have to empty the clean bowl, otherwise you end up with soap sticking around. It's not really what I wanted. Okay. I think that may be as well de-soaped as this one's going to get. Again, one clean lock of wool. Looks like this. Clean lock. You can see it's still a little lighter at the end, lighter at the tip end, and that's okay. I'm going to lay them out, and I'm laying them out so that they are in the same order, so that what I decided it needed another wash, another rinse, because it's definitely soapy. I like to keep my tip ends together and my butt ends together. I'm a little OCD that way. I'm going to lay it out. I'm only going to do a few of these just so that I have proof of concept. I want to make sure that I'm not going to waste a lot of wool on this method if it doesn't work nicely for this wool. Not every washing method is going to work nicely for every wool, and that's okay. There's a method for you, there's a method for me, there's a method for each wool. Because this is a nicely locked fleece, I don't have a problem with using this method. I'm dunking. And at this point, the water in the dirty bowl, I'll show it to you in a minute, is definitely dirty. And here's my soap. Oops. My soap. Dunk. Wow. There goes my soap in the bowl. If you have a lot of wool and you want to wash a lot of wool in the lock by lock method all at once, you can take some tulle and make little tulle packages and dunk and rinse whole bunches at once. That way your locks don't move and you can rub it and wash it and rinse it all at once. Interestingly, this has less wet wool smell. I think my husband will be happier. Todd does not particularly care for the smell of wet wool. I'm not quite sure what's wrong with him. But he doesn't like the smell of wet wool, and he had asked me not to do this in the house. So I'm not putting massive quantities of like a whole fleece. I'm not washing a whole fleece in the house anymore. But A few locks here and there isn't gonna hurt him. All right. I will admit to having some trouble getting the soap out of these locks. And it may be that I have to rinse them again after I change the bowl, the rinse bowl. Okay. Cut end, tip end. Yep. Here we are. Cut end, tip end. Okay, so that's 3 locks washed. 3 locks will get me, I spin pretty fine, and this is a nice, pretty fine wool. 3 locks will get me maybe 5 yards of two play. We'll see. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take it once they're dry, and I'm going to flick the ends. I'm going to flick the butt end. I'm going to flick the tip end, and I'm actually going to spin right from the lock. Okay, so here are my washed locks. You can see there is still some soap. It does still feel a little slick, a little slippery. But I've washed 3 locks. You know, you don't need very much with a fairly fine wool, and this CVM was pretty fine. And now I'm going to just fold up the towel like this. I'm actually going to roll it, and I'm going to stomp on it. While I'm at it, I want to show you what the bowls look like. This is the dirty bowl. You can see it's pretty dark. It's pretty nasty. I've seen darker, but this is 3 locks worth. It's pretty dark. And here's the clean bowl, which is very soapy, but not anywhere near as dark. And we'll see what happens once these are dry and floofed up and flicked. We'll see how clean they really are. Right, so I thought I should show you what rolling up locks and standing on them really looks like. So I've done this twice now, rolling up the towel with the locks inside. There they are, nestled in, so cute. And here are the locks. And so you saw how I folded it over in thirds, just around the locks, and rolled that up. And then I literally stood on it. I stood on the bundle. I'm not a small woman. This is, it certainly put pressure on the locks. I'm going to call this proof of concept yay. I'm going to move these over one more time, and I think I'm going to stand on them one more time just to make sure that they are completely dry, or as dry as towel dry can make them. So fold over 1, fold over 2. Actually, I'm going to fold that in half. Now I'm going to, this is hard to do with one hand, I'm going to roll this up as tightly as I can. Tight, 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 tight. Okay, here's my little bundle. Here is my socked foot. I'm going to literally stand on the bundle, putting all of my pressure on that one foot. And the idea is that the towel will take as much moisture as it can out of those locks. Now that that is done, ta-da! We have some really lovely washed locks. There was no felting of the lock. It is really, it's clean. It's clean. There's no grease left. It still smells a little sheepy, but not horribly. And it's only that one that smells a little sheepy. I think that was the first one I did too. I'm going to call this a rousing success, and the next thing that I am going to do is I am going to take them over to my spinning wheel with my flicker. I'm going to wrap it in the middle, I'm going to flick the ends, and I'm going to start to spin.